Yeah. Turn the lights out?
Sure.
Let's see. Oh, we got one more light to turn out.
Sure, you do.
Doesn't that look great? So the first step you want to take is to figure out what your hole size is going to be. I've made several of these over the years, and the best way is to use an awl. It's like this. A lot of people might call it an ice pick, which you could use an ice pick. An awl is just a pointy tool. If you don't have an awl, not to fear, you can use a Phillips head screwdriver. A normal set of these will have a small, medium, and large size. So I've always made these with a small Christmas light, something like this. My wife went shopping the other day and she found this size. So I'm actually going to make this project with this size because frankly they look cooler than a small one like this. Find your hole size, simple. I took 2 pieces of cardboard, glued them together, kind of make up what the lid would be like that you're going to be working with, and I poke a hole through it. So for the small size, an awl I found actually works pretty well. And this is just a test, so you can see if it'll work. There you go. You can push it through as little or as much as you want, but you get the idea. For this size, I'm going to use a hole made by an awl. Push that through. Then I'll come back and use a the largest size in this particular set. This is just a regular old screwdriver set. And I've done a little testing before I shot this, and I know I need to work them back and forth a little bit to get the right hole size. You could use a drill for this, but it tends to, as you can see here, I did a couple as examples, tear up the cardboard, which means the wrapping paper won't lay flat. If you poke from the lid through, you get a nice smooth punch like this. That's what we're after. And there you go. That's what we're after. Now we're going to have wrapping paper on, of course, when we put these in, but this was just a test to figure out the hole size. What we're going to do is we're going to take a box, we're going to reinforce it, we're going to wrap it, then we're going to mark out all the holes we're going to punch, and then we're going to punch them and insert these. That will be the extent of the work on the outside of the box. The rest will just be hot gluing on the inside to keep everything in place. The intent when you build one of these is that it's a reusable package. So you'll see when I mount it that I'll make the battery box so you can replace the batteries and you can turn the lights on and off. So you can make this out of any size box you want. Just understand you're going to lose about 1/3 of your depth to the wiring. And the last thing we'll do once we're done here is put some protective cardboard over the wiring so that it doesn't get damaged by the present contents. So make sure you choose a box that's big enough, usually in depth. I found a box that's more or less square seems to work the best because you can get the most variety of things in it. So the first thing we're going to do is cut this box open. The reason for that is that the box is not strong enough as is. You're going to be pushing a lot through this, and it needs to be very strong. And you can see here too that this particular box, there's an overlap, which makes an uneven inside. It's going to be a problem. So I'm just going to cut that off real quick. Okay, now I've got a box that the lid will lay flat. Here's how we're going to do this. We're going to take a glue gun. We're going to put copious amounts of glue. You will use a lot of hot glue in this project, so I suggest stocking up before you do the project. Okay. Then what we really want to do is press it firm from the inside. Just really make sure the glue can get inside and really bond the 2 layers together. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to put more glue in to attach the other flap. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to firm up the side walls. And the reason is that you will have lights through the top part, but you also want somewhere on the sides. It gives the present a little more depth. I cut 4 pieces of cardboard, 2 slightly shorter than the other 2, and those are just going to slip inside here and firm up these sidewalls. So Eva, if we have 20 lights and we want to have some on the sides and the top, right? We probably want more lights on the top than the sides, right? Yeah. So here's what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 lights per side. So we'll go 1, 2, and we're going to leave room for a bow here. Need one more. Where should we put it?
Here.
Okay, right there. 12. What do we call this?
A poker.
A poker. Or is it also called an awl?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. Right on top of each hole, we're going to poke it all the way through.
Ooh, my turn.
And then we take the big one and we twist it. And then we kind of spin it around like that. We're going to take that light. We're going to put that through.
Cool.
Doesn't that look neat?
Yeah.
Okay. So you get to do the little holes. Now that we have all our holes poked in, let's put in our light bulbs. They might be kind of tough.
I can't help right now.
Yeah, this is kind of specialty gluing, and I kind of need to do it.
Yeah. I don't know how to hot glue. Dad should.
You guys can hot glue, just not this, because this is a special project, and it's not really a beginner project. Okay, so now that they're all glued in, now we're going, these are an advantage. I've never done these ones before, but I noticed that they unscrew and the lights pull out of them, so we're going to unscrew all of them. Now we're going to install the lights, and the first step to that is to attach the battery pack. So this battery pack has the catch for opening it up. This one's just a simple slide open. Most of them are like that. And then there's a little power switch on the end. That's all there is to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to mount this so the power switch faces the bottom. And later on we'll cut a little hole in the lid so that you can turn it on and off even with the package wrapped. That way you don't run your batteries down. Also, when you're done using the present, you can turn it off and make sure you take the batteries out so they don't corrode. Because when alkaline batteries go low, they tend to get all gunky and they will ruin your project here. So let's glue it in. I always work with the lights turned on to make sure that I don't damage them. Plus, in this particular case, there's colors that I'll ultimately need to match, red to red, etc., so that the colors look very vibrant. I put a couple of these pretty high up because this will be the corner where I glue in the pack. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to locate my battery pack. You'll notice I put a towel down here. I'm trying to avoid from damaging the wrapping paper. So what I want to do is I'm just going to glue it in a corner. I've learned that corners seem to work better. You have to be careful the glue doesn't glue the lid shut. So what I'll actually do here is I'll put some glue on the back of the battery pack. I'll show you in a minute. And in the corner I'll actually put the glue in the box. Probably made about 7 or 8 of these. So what you do is you set it in and you slide it forward like such. Then you can take the battery cover off to make sure You can see here that is firmly in place. I will add a little extra glue to make sure that this never really goes anywhere. And whenever building this box, make sure you always do it with the lights on. And the main reason for that is to make sure that you don't damage any wiring or anything in the process, because once we get done with all the wiring here, the last thing we're going to do is glue cardboard over the wiring to protect it so that it can be used for many years of fun to come. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run all the wires. I'm going to plug them all in. Basically, I'm just sticking them in as deep as they originally were, so you can kind of see they're just barely sticking above the surface. Once I'm done putting all the wires in and I'm happy with the layout, I'll just take some hot glue and I'll hot glue that wire in. Don't have to do a great job, just enough to keep it from falling out from vibration or. It's important not to glue these in until you're sure the wiring is correct. A lot of times the stretch between the lights won't fit. So now I have all my lights in. It's important to not glue them until you have them all inserted. And the reason is sometimes the length of cord between two won't reach, so you might have to move things around a little bit. So make sure you get them all in before you glue anything in, because once it's glued in, it's kind of permanent, and these thin wires can easily get damaged. You'll notice too, I put my battery pack down a little bit, and the reason is I'm going to glue the part of the wiring that's exposed to the present down so that it doesn't get damaged. So let me do that real quick. If it's really uncooperative, you can always just put a piece of tape on it. So now that I have my basic present done, all I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut a tray that protects this wiring from getting pushed, pulled, damaged, whatever. So my box is 9 3/4 inch square on the inside lip from here to here, and I used a square box to make my whole life easy on this project. I cut part that's going to slip in 1/4 inch shorter than the inside of the box to give me a little bit of slop. Same thing, it's 2.5 inches going to high from the bottom, so I made it 2 inches again, just to give me a little bit of slack as I install this thing, because if you cut it to the exact number, you'll be fighting it. Now that I have a loose fitting insert, I'm going to score the edges and fold them down. Then I'm going to cut out around the bulbs. So the way you do that is you take a brand new blade, super sharp, and you just score just through the outer paper layer. And then when you go to bend it, you get a perfect break, but yet the back paper is still holding on. So I'll do that on all 3 sides. Now I'm going to cut out around the bulbs. Keep in mind, this does not have to contact all the way around, just some, because we're going to put a spacer coming from here down into the bottom to give the middle a little bit of strength. You'll see. So we're just trying to find a way to attach a little bit of each side. So you'll see how I will cut out quite a bit. So I just made up a simple support out of just some scrap cardboard and glued it in pretty well. It's just to prevent the pushing in. I also took and made my edge cutouts. Note that we're not going to glue these. We're just going to slip this in and glue around the top, you'll see. You just need something to keep it from pushing in from the outside. So I'm going to install that now. Also makes it easier if you messed up with your core support. Because with hot glue and cardboard, there's kind of no going back. So I'm just going to slip that in. So you'll see here, I did make one minor mistake that I made this light here a little too high. So I'm just going to make a little thing to protect that. But you can see this is pretty strong here. So I'm just going to run a real thick bead around the inside here to really cement that in. I'm going to give my hot glue gun a break while I make a little protector for that. There we go. Now I'm going to finish gluing the edge. So now we're going to cut this little hole out here. So can you help me find the bulbs?
Yeah, the same bulbs. We have to match the same bulbs to the same dead
Can you
bulb.
find me a red one?
Sure,
A red bulb? So James, did you have fun making this present?
Yeah.
Should we show what everyone it looks like when we turn the lights out?
Sure.
Let's see. Oh, we got one more light to turn out.
Sure, we do.
Doesn't that look great?
I want
That's too close.
I want to see
You can.
when it's
Do you
dark.
think that you would like to get a present like this for Christmas?
Yeah.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah.
And all we used was a couple simple tools and a hot glue gun and lots of free cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good job.